Hi, welcome back to Golf Training Hacks. You know, so many golfers have a problem with standing up at impact. Now, what do I mean by standing up at impact? Well, it's really simple. It means your hips are going to the ball. But in a golf swing, throughout most of your golf swing, you want your hips to go away from the ball. And that's a hip hinge. So this is a hip hinge. It's real simple. That's a hip hinge. And you need to keep that at impact. Now, there are a couple of reasons why. We need to de-loft the club, because we want to get compression on the golf ball. That's going to give us a more solid hit. And also by de-lofting the club, you're going to get more control of the club head. And to do that, you need to have some hip hinge at impact. You can't stand up. Here's why. It's really kind of simple. Let's take an extreme example of a hip hinge at impact. I'm going to go into a deep hip hinge, and my chest is really going to cover the golf ball. Now, in order to get the club head back to the golf ball, I need to take a real extreme shaft angle here. As I lose the hip hinge and as my chest begins to uncover the ball or come up, the shaft angle gets more vertical and then it goes away. And if I really drive my hips into the ball, like a lot of people do when they're striking the ball, you completely lose that shaft angle. You lose compression, you lose control of the club head. Now, it's really easy to get into a hip hinge when I'm just standing here, but it's not so easy when you're swinging a golf club, because there's so much rotational force in a golf swing. A lot of recreational golfers just don't have the strength in their hips and lower body to control the rotational forces and stay into this nice compressed position at impact. So in this video, we're going to demonstrate several of our hip hinge exercises from our hip hinge program. Now, this hip hinge program is designed to give you strength in your hips and lower body so that you can control the rotational force of a golf swing and you can get that nice shaft lean and control that club head at impact, because we need to get that compression. So let's get started getting some strength into your hips. In these series of exercises, we're going to be working on resisting force using isometric strength, because we want to keep our spine angle stable throughout the swing, and to do that we have to resist all those forces that are playing against us in that swing, and to do that we need to improve our isometric strength. So in these basic exercises, we're going to work on improving our ability to resist, standing up out of impact. So we want to be able to hold this position throughout your swing, and you want to be able to hold this neutral spine throughout your swing. So you're going to set up just like you would set up at a dress. You want to keep your neutral spine, you want to hip hinge back, and you want to keep this position as you're either holding or doing the row. I'm going to set my neutral spine, going to hip hinge back. Now I'm in that forward tilted address position, and I can either hold these for a count, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000. If there was even more tension on this, I could hold it like this for the count, or I can just do repetitions. What I don't want you guys to do is use this kind of motion to be pulling back, or when you're here, there shouldn't be any kind of movement. When you're here, there shouldn't be any kind of movement. So you should be able to step into this, neutral spine, hip hinge back, lean forward, and hold it for a count. It's up to you what the count is. If you want to do repetitions, that's fine, but you just don't want any movement in your back this way or that way. A kettlebell deadlift. This is a level 1 exercise in our hip extension program. You're going to use the same technique that you would use if you were deadlifting a barbell. So step into the kettlebell. You're going to hip hinge back. Drop your hands and hips to the kettlebell. Keep it in your center of gravity. Now do it from the side. Step over the kettlebell. You want to keep it in your center of gravity. You're going to hip hinge back, drop your hips and hands to the kettlebell, and lift. My hips are going back, and my knees are not shooting out forward. So this is not the motion. Hips are going back. So that's a level 1 exercise in our hip extension program. A Romanian deadlift with a barbell. This is a level 3 exercise in our hip hinge program. To perform a Romanian deadlift, you want your shoulders engaged, you want them back. You want the bar to be pretty much dragging up and down on your legs, and your hips are going back. You want to keep your back in that neutral position. You don't want to lose that position. Now do it from the side. Shoulders are engaged, hips go back, and you keep your back in a neutral position. The Romanian deadlift with a barbell, a level 3 exercise in our hip hinge program.